I'm a bad motherfucker.
Dr. Phil has got something to say about COVID and how people dealt with it.
You know, when this COVID hit, it was pretty frenetic for everybody. In the beginning, nobody knew.
Okay, in the beginning, nobody knew what was going on. I suppose if you want to call Anthony Fauci a nobody, that is certainly your prerogative, but how do we know he knew what was going? He knew what was going on right up until the point where everything started to go south for him. Then everybody was like, we don't know anything about this.
Yeah, lots of people knew. They didn't want to get in trouble,
right.
or they got kicked out of their jobs, or they got...
That's right.
Nobody knew at his office?
A lot of people knew. And most of the people who knew and who actually had the courage to say something got censored, discredited, and smeared in the corporate press that was owned by Big Pharma.
They told us not to
including
do our
me.
own research.
They got some guy made a whole video about me on COVID.
Who?
How did that Sean guy?
Oh yeah,
how the guy doesn't show his face?
The
how
MI6
does that
cutout?
The MI6 cutout, exactly.
Yeah.
How does that video hold up today? How does that video hold up?
Well, he never shows his fucking face.
Doesn't hold up. And it got boosted by the Google algorithm, so it got like 700,000 views, and it was an hour-long smear piece about me.
Yeah, and I bet you those aren't real views. And also, BreadTube's done. It's for
and then we
fuckers.
found out that the MI6 was paying people on BreadTube to go after and smear people who were speaking out and telling the truth about COVID and the vaccines.
And I don't think Sean knew that he was getting that from them. Why would they have to let him in on it? He's a loser BreadTuber.
The guy never talks about anything. I don't know what he talks about. No,
they're all watching their algorithm. So remember Kyle Rittenhouse? That was a big one because somebody asked me on a thing, what would Jimmy say? And I remember.
What? What did they ask you?
Like, you are somebody that looks at evidence, even if it's not going to be good for you with your friends.
People say, because people have said to me, hey, why did you defend Kyle Rittenhouse?
Because you're not
and I
being
say
a liar.
I didn't defend Kyle Rittenhouse. I defended the truth. And why aren't you pissed off that the corporate media lied about a 16-year-old lifeguard in order to divide the country? Why aren't you pissed off about that? You're not pissed off that you got lied to?
Trump.
I had people who used to work for the show. They don't want to know the truth about it.
Yeah, they'll tell
I
you
go,
that.
hey, did you watch the video that Matt Orfalea did about Kyle Rittenhouse? No, they don't want to watch it. They don't want to know the truth because that would put them in an awkward position in their social circles where they'd have to actually stand up and say something. And they won't. And it turns out most comedians are cowards.
Why don't you just make your brand not pretending to stand up and say something? That'd be a good fix.
That's right.
The people are, who did you vote for? The left are too evil.
Yeah.
Like, all you do is keep your dumb trap shut if you don't know anything. You don't have to scold other people for doing research.
So somebody asked you about me, about Kyle Rittenhouse?
When I did such at it. No, well, I brought it up because it was about something else. But my whole point is, you're not a grifter. Like, a grifter is someone that is saying a thing they may or may not believe because they think it will give them some advantage.
That's right.
The opposite of grifting is saying what you think is the truth, even if you're going to lose some supporters and friends, which I've done that my whole time.
That's the whole...
Nobody likes me.
The whole story of this show. You know how many people I pissed off? And by being the first one to say it, the first one to say Russiagate was bullshit, the first one to say that Bernie Sanders was a sellout, the first one to say the Squad, AOC, the Justice Democrats were a failed experiment. Being the first one, there's very little reward in that. You lose a lot of followers, you lose a lot of subscribers, you lose a lot of stuff, and you get a ton of shit for it. So
and reasonable people.
And people never come back around to go, hey, you know what? You were right about that.
Once in a while, I get people now, but
finally,
yeah.
When Cornel West came on the show, and I said immediately after the interview, I don't know what Cornel West is doing, but he's not running for president. So just this week, people over at Breaking Points said Cornel West is not running for president.
Like,
they just finally came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
7 months later, Kurt, maybe 8 months, finally they just figured it out. That's amazing to me. Okay, here we go. Back to this.
What was going on? And when they said we're gonna take a time out here, we're gonna ask everybody to really stay home, withdraw, shut the door, and that's going to slow the roll.
Remember, it was 2 weeks to stop the spread. I mean, to flatten the curve.
Yeah, flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve. We just want to flatten the curve so we don't overwhelm our emergency rooms. We're just going to flatten the curve. It turned into 2 years. And it was always a bad idea. It was always a bad idea to do lockdowns.
Wait, won't someone think of the emergency rooms? What
about
piece of shit country I live in?
Yeah.
That they didn't immediately put all the money that they sent to fucking Ukraine
into
emergency rooms.
Right.
That's going to slow this thing down. You remember that? And then all of a sudden, a few weeks turn into months, and months turn into 2 years. You expect there will be a plan, a readiness plan, that takes into account all the collateral damage that can come from doing something like that. And then you start seeing all of these problems, and you hear people say, well, we did the best we could with what we knew. No, they did not. They knew better. And if they didn't know better, they damn well should have known better. That's what they're paid to do.
And what's crazy is he genuinely upset about this.
It seems like he's genuinely upset about this. And I think the reason why is because he said some shit and he caught a lot of shit, just like we did.
Yeah.
So when he noticed the lying that was happening, he said something, and people came at him and tried to discredit him, the Jimmy Kimmels of the world.
Yeah.
When I stepped up in the beginning and said, this lockdown, this quarantine is going to create more problems with quality of life than that COVID is going to do in taking lives, people looked at me like I was insane. I got criticized, called a heretic, said, well, what is he talking about? I'll tell you what I was talking about. I was talking about exactly what happened and is happening. And what's more, when you shut down the schools, the day you shut them down, you better have a plan for reopening them. I didn't see a plan for them to be reopened. And we have an entire generation that is suffering from developmental gaps, educational gaps, mental and emotional challenges, and still, there's not a good plan to close those gaps. And my concern is, when the next pandemic turns the corner, who's got the plan then? What was learned from this? Because you don't hear anybody talking about it, do you? You don't hear anybody talking about it, but I'm talking about it because I want to make noise about this. I want to force people to say, we need to get ready for when this happens again. And I'm not some conspiracy theorist saying they're coming to get us and lock us up. But I'm saying we need to think about whether we're going to rely on science and how we're going to react when the government comes in and starts telling us what we can and can't do. I think we need less government. I think if they would step back, we tend to have a way to work these things out.
Okay. They are going to lock you up too, by the way.
They are going to lock you up.
That's not coming?
Yeah.
Dr. Drew, I didn't understand the thing about the ads with drugs on TV. When he explained that's so they don't get investigated more than anything. That's why they run ads for prescription drugs. And so he knew, you could see Dr. Drew was disturbed. He wasn't quite ready to go to these people are malicious. It's interesting watching people who didn't know suddenly have to start to know. I'm curious where Dr. Drew's at now, because who do we trash that he didn't want to jump on board trashing?
Well, he was the one who told me that he worked with Dr. Fauci during the AIDS crisis, and Dr. Fauci always preached you have to scare people. Fear, fear, fear. Use fear to get people into compliance. And that's exactly what masks were about, keeping people afraid.
They're still wearing them.
They're still wearing them. That's amazing. So I know comedians who don't wear a mask, who wear a mask into the comedy club, and they take it off when they go on stage. Isn't that like we're having sex with a prostitute, and then starting out
taking
with
the condom off.
then taking condom off right in the middle.
I wear a condom all day and I take it off at night.
I take it off right in the middle. Well, it lessens my chances of catching something because I wore it for the first 15 minutes. I had sex with her and then I took it off.
I think it flattens the curve. I just pour some Listerine on my dick in between.
So look this. Health experts support so remember during Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, I do remember. And
a lot of people were saying, hey, why is it okay to go out and congregate for a protest over Black Lives Matter during COVID? That seems to be antithetical. You guys were arresting people surfing. And you put
going to church.
Or going to church, and you put sand in playgrounds and skateboard parks. But you could go out to a black, and here, look at this. He goes, as public health advocates, we do not condemn these gatherings as risky for COVID-19 transmission. This should not be confused with a permissive stance on all gatherings, particularly protests against stay-at-home order. So
I appreciate this because this is where you get to see who has principles and who is. This is where you see how worthless everybody that works for you in your fucking government and in healthcare. They're all worthless, and they all, same as the social distance. Like for that to even work, it was supposed to be like what, way more than 10 feet. And then the business leader goes, "Hey, come on, you're killing us." You know, all right, we'll say 6 feet.
yeah,
Remember that?
Remember
so
that?
none of that was about your health. It's about what a very important person who's more important than you feels will interfere with their fucking business of taking your money and doing God knows what with it.
All right, here's our go over to stuff. We have one more thing.
If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate shitty coffee? I, for one, really hate shitty coffee, which is why I'm excited to introduce to you a company that's revolting against shitty coffee, and it's called the 1775 Coffee Company. Now, I haven't had it yet because I only drink decaf. Steph has had it. Steph, how do you like it?
I really like it. I've been, you know what? I have a French press, and so I've been using my French press and totally enjoying it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's smooth.
So 1775, the world awake. In 1775, the world awakened to a new era. And now it's 1775 Coffee Company is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee beans farms of Bolivia. Didn't know that. 1775 Coffee Company's farm to cup journey ensures the highest quality of authenticity and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-sourced brew. 1775 Coffee Company takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection. But their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee Company has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all your senses, including the sense of freedom. So choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/litter. That's LITTER, and use the code LITTER for 10% off the checkout on your first order. 1775 Coffee, brewed to perfection, crafted with revolution.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit